Today is going to be a little different. I guess I still need my iPad because I can't read that far away. Thank you guys for joining us today. Um, Today is a community post. I do have a full auction tab,
Auction tab
or
or
not auction
the
tab, sorry, buy it now. The store is full. Um, Now, trying to get my iPad open so I can read comments a little better. I made notes. I did a brain dump last night where I just wrote down all my thoughts on surprise sets, all the rules I could think of, and then organized them today so they actually make sense. And then I'm not just dumping stuff out of my mouth. All right, let's see. Hello, hello, hello. See any comments? Okay. All right. So I guess I'll start this off by, well, thank you guys for coming. If you want a copy of this. I am currently streaming it, supposedly, to Facebook, but I will say my last few attempts at uh, live streaming from Whatnot to Facebook has been hit or miss. So sometimes they stream and sometimes they don't. Our Facebook channel is actually Vintage Bee Design. We've never changed that since we changed names. Raid.
did you see that right with?
Well, thanks for the raid. I didn't set up a giveaway, so
That's
let
my
me.
Franny.
Well, Finds by Franny, thank you so much. I'm glad Sue is hanging out. Let me throw a Gibby in here. 'Cause I didn't add a Gibby because it didn't occur to me.
What do you got? Use a holly?
A Holly is fine. So
There you got one sitting there.
I'll do a Holly stem.
By the way, I just want to say hi. Okay.
It's gonna be, we'll just put a few in there, just in case. Anybody can enter. Alrighty, so let me have that up. All right, thank you so much for the raid. We appreciate. This is the giveaway we're gonna do for the raid. So who was that again? Finds by Franny. If you are not already following Finds by Franny, which I am, then be sure to give a follow and let me mod JJ. JJ, I just saw you. There you are. And I will mod you. Yes, there you go. And perfect. Okay. Yes. Thank you for the raid. Okay. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my experience here on Whatnot and kind of why I started. Wait, what does still in line mean?
She's at the post office.
Oh, um, and why I started doing surprise sets, kind of how I got into this. And so Sue and I have been on Whatnot for almost 2 years now, I think.
It's been 2 years, yeah.
We learned about it from a couple of crafters that we followed. We have a YouTube channel, and so there were other people that used similar products and had YouTube channels. And they were like, "Hey, you should come do this." And I used to speak internationally when I owned a home staging company, so I have no problem being in front of the camera. That's been a big part of my life for many decades now. Being in front of an audience, being in front of a camera, no problem there. We used to own a retail store, and um, way back forever ago, for those of you who are local, we used to own Linen and Rust, which is where we have a booth now. And we had a still in storage from what, like 8 years. We had stuff still that was basically dead stock. We would bring it to market sometimes, but most of the time we were so sick of looking at it that we did nothing.
It was just buried.
Yeah, it was just buried under who knows what. I mean, there was a storage unit I think we hadn't opened in 3 or 4 years that had stuff left over from when we owned Linen and Rust. And so we thought, well, let's try to sell some of that dead stock and see how it goes. And so that's kind of where we started. And then we also used to wholesale floral on Fair. And we may get back to that at some point. But we thought, well, let's try our floral on Whatnot. And it started doing well. So we just sort of started doing, pretty good, pretty good. And the vintage we love
I just want an excuse to buy it.
Sue just wants an excuse to buy it. And I feel like we've been living like hoarders and really want an excuse to get it out of our lives. So Whatnot works pretty well for that. But I'm gonna say I don't usually think Whatnot gets the prices, excuse the dogs. I don't feel like I usually get the prices that I want for vintage. And for me, it was discouraging that so I don't like going to thrift stores. I know I'm one of the few vintage people that hates it, but I have high anxiety and thrift stores will literally make me twitch. It sends like an electrical pulse up my spine and you'll see me do this. And I'm like, I have to get out of here. I love estate sales, hate thrift stores. And estate sales are not necessarily the best place to get.
Oh, they can be good.
I mean, they can be good, but to get things really inexpensive, you'll get the best stuff, but it won't necessarily be inexpensive. And I had another friend who, so that's what I was doing on Whatnot, and I was doing about Sue and I were doing together probably about $8,000 a month in sales on Whatnot. And my friend Will and his wife Dee Dee, they owned Linen and Rust. That's who we sold Linen and Rust to. Um, Long story there, not going to go into. Anyway, I was telling them about our Whatnot, and she's like, "Oh, I have all this jewelry I need to sell from my mom's old jewelry business before she passed away. That she's like, it's literally in boxes in my closet." And she's like, "I should probably try doing that." And so she tried doing that. And then Will's like, "Oh, I should try to do that with all my sports cards and vintage." And so he did that. And then I'm not exactly sure how it ended up, but they ended up somehow getting involved in the Disney group. And they started in February of this year. And in April of this year, Will told me, he's like, "You need to do Disney." And I'm like, "I don't even care about Disney." And he's like, "You need to do Disney." And I'm like, "But I don't care about Disney." Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Way
Nicolam takes the gibby.
to go, Nicole.
Anyway, he opened his phone and he pulled up the analytics. And this is April, mind you. Or no, this was May. And he pulled up April's analytics and he showed me that he had done $115,000 in sales in April after he'd been on for 4 months. And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I need to look at Disney." And he said, honestly, he said, "It's the surprise sets." He says, "I think you could probably do that with any category. You would just have to figure out how to do it." And so Sue and I even opened up another channel on here, um, 10 Kingdoms Boutique. We started doing the Disney shows and they were okay, but I don't know the merch and I don't know the product.
The
And
Loungefly show.
the Loungefly
Yeah,
show.
we don't know much about Loungefly.
We don't know much about it. And honestly, I'm not at all interested in it. If I had to choose to go to Universal Studio or Disney because we live in Florida, then we always go to Universal. I'm just not a Disney girl. So I wanted to know how it was exactly that he was doing this. So I started watching and watching, and I cannot tell you how many Disney shows I watched, the surprise set Disney shows. With him rattling around in my brain, you just need it's all about the surprise sets. It's all about the surprise sets. And I don't even remember when or how, but at some point after a show, and we were selling greenery, I was like, "What if we did surprise sets with our greenery?"
That's an idea.
Because we buy greenery wholesale in bulk. So we get things cheaper than most people can, like the little hollyberry that Nicole just won. Um, when I order them, I have to order like 300 of them. So moving them is important, and we get them inexpensively. So we don't usually have to charge full retail. Okay. Who was that? Beth. You're so welcome. I do not think that you have to be approved to do a surprise set. Oh, I wanted to say something. I started saying it and then I got distracted.
Thank you for the tip, man. That was
I
very
was
nice
just
of
getting
you.
ready to.
Oh, thank you.
I was going to.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't gotten that far.
Oh, I have.
Golly, Sue.
I jump ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the tip. I wanted to tell you guys that at the bottom of the screen, I have pinned from the Buy It Now the surprise set discussion outline, which is the outline of all of the things I'm going to talk about today, and like things to know, things to not know, how to set up your show and stuff like that. And I believe, I am not 100% sure, but I believe that if you buy that, you can actually get the whole screen recording because it will give you a digital copy of when you won and you can watch the whole thing from there. I could be wrong, but that is what I understand. So, yes, thank you so much for the tip. It is greatly appreciated.
Good for 90 days.
Good for 90 days. There you go. So, if you want to hear what I had to say again, you can replay it then if you buy it. Doesn't have to be that, it could be anything in the Buy It Now. Okay. So, I really wanted to know, like, I really wanted to get in and figure out how, because I wasn't feeling like I was getting enough money for our vintage. Um, I didn't know, like, I needed to make more of the time we had, not necessarily dedicate more time. And I noticed that our audience numbers had been slipping. So people would tell us we run a fun show, but then where we normally had 30 or 40 people in a show, we were getting closer to having less than 20.
We can't expect those people to keep buying every.
Yeah, and we can't expect those people to keep buying every time.
We love them to death.
And they're very supportive, and we really appreciate the people who support us. But we knew that we needed to be able to build the audience more. So yes, absolutely read the whatnot terms. And I'm going to talk about that in here too. So, first, I guess I'll say now that you kind of know why I got into the surprise sets, this is sort of the process of it. The surprise set, first off, is really what somebody is buying is a spin on the wheel. Okay. And then they get whatever that spin reveals to them. Legendary lawyer, thanks for the follow. Now I'm nervous. So I'll just continue and you guys ask questions. I will answer any questions that you have. The wheel will randomly assign one of the pre-listed items to the buyers, and that's what they're going to get. They're not going to be able to trade. If the last person won this holly stem, the next person might win this roll of tape. Really not, because they're not similar, and we'll talk about that. But it's totally randomized, and the person running the show has absolutely no control over the randomization. There are two ways to do the randomization. One is a reveal at the end option, which we'll talk about more later. And the way you get to do that is when you're uploading that set, there's two green boxes, and one of them is to have it automatically randomize everything. You just uncheck that, and then you'll have to control the randomizer at the end of the set. And that's how you do a reveal option at the end. And the reason I'm saying that is because I know that somebody from Vintage Wars discussed that they had done a raffle and were turned in by people in that show. And it is because raffles are illegal, not just on Whatnot, they're illegal in many, many states. And so if somebody is in that state, if somebody's playing in that state, whatever, like Whatnot could be shut down. So raffles are illegal, but you can effectively do the same thing using the randomizer at the end in order to create the raffle like experience. Okay. Let's see. Automatic reveal is the default setting, and that is where the wheel is going to assign an item from the list after every win. Items must be the same type. Example, my show is home decor, so I can't just stick purses in the middle of my surprise sets unless I'm doing all purses or all wallets. things like that. So they do have to be similar. You could not do um, a big, beautiful basket vignette and then have the other items be gift cards. Those are not the same, right? Um, so you'd have to figure out something else that would make sense for them to receive. Maybe one of the items in the basket you have enough of for everybody. And they either get the basket or they get this item, which is why I started doing some this or that shows, showing I had a beautiful vignette, or you could have this other piece of greenery. The important thing, the most important thing about that is you absolutely must disclose all of the items. You have to say, if this is my big glorious vignette, and you're going to get, there's 20 tickets available, 30 tickets, 50 tickets, however many tickets there are. That when those are sold, I'll reveal, we'll reveal who wins it, and everybody else gets something. That's not going to work. Everybody else has to know exactly what they're getting. And those items have to be on screen the entire time that you're running the surprise set. So,
Like it's behind you.
yeah. So, like when I ran a surprise set, I had an example of one of the items, and I don't have a vignette here, and it was like, you're going to get one of these or you're going to get one of these. And by the way, they're right here in these baskets behind me. And I would actually have a better shot of the baskets behind me. When I run my regular surprise sets, it's all set up pretty, and my camera is way over there because everything has to be in the view of the camera the entire time the set is run. Okay. Let's see.
So once you set your camera, it's set.
Yep. Once the show starts,
Yeah.
once you start running the first item, your camera cannot move until the end of the show, to after the last item is chosen.
We don't want it to give anybody an impression that there's funny business going on.
Right. You do not need permission from Whatnot. When adding an item, you should be already able, if you can sell, you should already be able to do it. When you're filling out your item, or your show, when you're creating a show, it should say, is this show going to be primarily an auction, a bin show, or a surprise set? Most of you probably never even noticed the surprise set there, but that's where it is. So you actually have to select one of those three options to set up your show. Just select surprise set. Hey, how are you, intro? Okay, and you should think of, for the purposes of selling, that this is a bundle show. Don't think about, let's say you've got that big item. In my show, I may have wreaths that are worth $85, or other vintage items that are very expensive. We run some higher end antiques as part of the bigger prizes that you go. We typically do about 150 items on our Wednesday night sets. So I'm going to have all kinds of price points in there. And it can be very frustrating when the bid is $15 and you sold an antique that is worth like 80. So don't look at it like that. You have to look at, how much did the show cost me to run, including giveaways and whatnot, fees and what have you, versus how much did I make for the whole show. Never pay attention to what an item actually sells for, because you're going to have your low end items that are going to sell at that same $15 that might be worth $5, right? And it's not that they paid 3 times more than that's worth. It's the average of everything, right? And I will tell you that the people who bid the most in our shows, usually I'll say they buy 7 to 10 items. Almost every single one of them, not every time, but almost every single one of them in every game does win a high end item.
That's true.
So if you only buy 1 or 2 items, you might end up with the randomness of getting just low end. I've also seen a lot of new buyers get like the best thing on the thing, and that was their only bid. So it's hard to say on that.
Crazy.
But you should think of it as how much did my show cost? How much do I need to break even, including any fees? And either set your starting bid at that price, or just know what you kind of need to average through the show. We do dollar starts. I've been on those shows. Yeah. Um, we do dollar starts, and honestly, that was because I couldn't figure out how to change the price. Now I'm like, how was I so stupid? But it happens. You don't see everything every time. It isn't where when you normally set up an item, because you're not adding an individual item, you're adding a show.
It's
So,
all new and it's all different.
huh?
It was all new.
It was all new and it was all different. All right. So that was kind of my what is a surprise set. And we're going to move on to how to set up. Okay. Uh, Everything must be preloaded before the show. My recommendation is that you have a spreadsheet and that you're going to add everything to the spreadsheet. And when you've got everything ready to go, then you copy and paste that into Whatnot. Things that you have to have in there in this order is item name, item description, and quantity. That's all you have to have. There's no pictures, nothing. It's just item name, item description, and the quantity.
I just want to say pictures would be helpful,
But it's not an
but
option.
it's not an option.
So name it however you need to identify it when pulling it off the shelf, because been there, done that too. That's a little crazy. I do recommend that on your spreadsheet you add cost and total cost. That way, when you're trying to figure out what your break even is, you can have all your items and the cost of those items. And I say total cost because if you have three of one, three $1 items, your total cost is $3. Your cost is $1 and your total cost is $3, right? So that you have those so that you can go back at your shows either before or after or both ideally and see this. I'll say the secret sauce to this game, there's a couple different things, but one of the most important is having the proper ratio of low end items to high end items and mid range items, right? You have to have enough high end items that people want to get that high end item to get the bids up. You need to have enough low end items that people are still happy getting them, but um, that's where you're making your profits, right? Because if you have an item that sells for $85, and like our average bid in a show is between $10 and $15. Okay. So if I'm giving somebody an $85 wreath from their spin and the bid was $15, obviously I'm losing money, right? So in that case, what I have to look at is those lower end items have to make up all that money somewhere else, right? But those low end items can't be so bleh that nobody wants to bid because they don't want to get stuck with one of those. I strongly recommend that you watch the Disney shows. Easy Money Florida is my friend who does them. He does a great job, but look at a lot of those and watch them. See what they're giving away. See how it makes a difference when people bid, things like that. Okay, so let's um other things is when you list the item name, it cannot be like, you know, I'm putting in 150 items, so this is item number 47, right? It can't just say, oh, you want item 47, and you know where item number 47 is on here because you got a little piece of tape on it and it says number 47. That's not going to work. It would have to say, like, you can number them. I know when I had a bunch of similar items on here to back up my brain in which pumpkin it was, even though I tried to name them like Twisted Stem or whatever, I would put a number on there and I would put that number as part of the description so that I was making sure when I was grabbing it that I grabbed the right one.
Green pumpkin number 3.
Yeah, green pumpkin number 3. But you have to say like number 47 spin, wooden spindle, something like that. It still has to be descriptive of what it is. People have to be able to go to the list and figure out what it is they have an opportunity to get. um, Once you have your items uploaded into the Whatnot spreadsheet, you cannot remove or add. You will have to replace the entire spreadsheet if you got something wrong. And this is obviously before the game. But if you decided, oh man, I really meant to add four more of these hollies, then I would need to actually delete that and then upload a new spreadsheet with those 4 additional hollies. That is why I strongly recommend that you do it on an outside spreadsheet, not in theirs, or you got to write the whole list over
There's
again.
a lot of preparation.
There is a lot of preparation. But you don't have to add pictures, so there is that. The default is always to dollar starts, and you can change once the show is live when you're ready to hit run item or whatever the language that is. Start auction, something like that. It's in the same place that if you were doing a regular auction, it's in the exact same place. That's why I'm like, how did I not notice that? It is to the left of the time, which I guess to the left is over here for you guys. It's next to where you change how long you want the auction to be, how many seconds. And I do recommend 10 or 15 seconds max in your surprise sets. Let's see. All items must be visible during the auction. If you are running a large surprise set, you may need to put the camera way far back. We actually had to change to another room. We could not do it in the room we regularly run our auctions because I couldn't get the camera far enough away from the screen to get it all in. So we actually now have 2 rooms in my house that are show rooms for Whatnot. And all of the items must have the same documentation and enough information for the buyer to reasonably understand what they're buying. And examples of that you'll most commonly see is new with tags, new without tags, upcycled no tags, or vintage no tags. And that's saying, base it's your basic condition, right? Like if you were uploading, think of the conditions that you're required to add if you are adding an individual item. If other descriptions apply, like vintage no damage, then that has to apply to everything in there. Or if it's going to say vintage chipped handle or something like that, then that basic type of description is going to have to apply to everything. So then it might be new in box, no damage versus vintage, no damage, or vintage chipped. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If not, you can look things up on Whatnot, of course, but basically understand that whatever descriptors you give to any item, you must give to all items. Okay. Running the show. So when the show starts, you can have your camera, and we usually do it. And we are having a show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join us just to see how we run our shows, no commitment to buy anything, we'd love to have you.
Get in the giving.
Yeah, we run nonstop givvies during our show, and you can get in the givvy, but just to have a full room is very helpful. Okay, so, and you are watching for comments, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when the show starts, but before the auction starts, I have my phone in hand and I walk up and I show them everything we have going on. I give them a little description, point out any defects, give them features of the items, elaborate on what's here that's going to make them want to spin the wheel, right? But when I go put my camera back on the tripod and I start the auction, that camera can no longer be moved. It must sit there the entire time. So if somebody says, hey, can I look at that E.O. Brody vase? I must get the vase and bring to the camera. I cannot bring the camera to the vase. Okay? That is important. Let's see. Reveal at the end shows, like we were talking about, to replace a raffle. That will require a computer, either a laptop or a desktop, and the set will need to be open to select the randomizer. You'll actually be able to hit randomize all at the end, and it'll in a flurry list everything.
And then you have to dig and find out.
And then you have to scroll to see who got what
the grand prize.
For the grand prize. So the more the more entries in that, the harder it's going to be to find, just to let you know. That's really the only way to do it. When you're running a show, in order to run the set, and this took me a few moments to figure out, you need to pin the set you're running, even if there's only one set, like our big Wednesday night show, 150 items. I have to hit pin set, and then I have to click the auction settings.
Bless you.
And that's where, in that area, you can change the auction time for all the items, which I always take down to 10 seconds. You can choose if you want it to be sudden death. You can choose if, what is it? 4, 7, 9 seconds that it'll add on to each bid when somebody else bids. All of that you can do under the auction settings. That is where you have to go you have to open that in order to run the first item.
I think Erin needs a quick explanation as to what we're doing here today.
Hi, Erin. Today is a community post. So I am just discussing how to run surprise sets. We're not actually running a surprise set. We are just discussing how we run the surprise sets. So there's no spot to buy.
If you feel like shopping, we do have buy it now.
Yeah, if you feel like shopping, our buy it now is wide open. I am selling off, if you want it, it's pinned at the bottom, copies of my outline for everything we're talking about today, which should also get you a live broadcast that's good for 90 days to rewatch the whole show.
But hey, we're glad you found us today.
Yeah. We are having our regular surprise set Wednesday night. So let's see, where was that? When you click sell item, it's the only place that you can change the price. And you can change the price of every item, but why would you? The only time I've ever changed it after I have started is when I've done a mini surprise set and you have to sell 15 slots and the last few slots are going, I will lower the price if I had them at like $5 just to sell off the remaining items. After they win, after the spinner goes, and it says Jane won the holly leaf. You'll walk up to the camera, show Jane the holly leaf, and then however you tag or put them aside or whatever. Everything that is available must be in front of them. Okay. Some rules you want to be aware of if you want to run a surprise set, and that is no outside randomizations or additions.
I can't bring in a wheel and spin it for somebody's name.
You cannot.
Oh, doggone it.
The randomizer must be done through Whatnot. You cannot offer the seller a special incentive. I mean, the buyer a special incentive. You can't say the first 5 bids today get a holly stem, woo, in addition to whatever they win. You can't do that. You can't say, if you sell books, you can't say the first 5 will be autographed by me. That doesn't work. You cannot, again, you can't say the first 5 spin a wheel and they get this extra prize. None of that. Okay. It's whatever they get on the wheel. You can't say things like, oh, and these wallets that we're selling today, there are, there's cash in 3 of them.
Who will be the lucky winner?
Who will be the lucky winner? You cannot do that. That is not allowed. You cannot do, okay, you're the high bid. Pick which number that you want on this board and we'll see what it has for you or what extra thing you have. Okay. You must have posted somewhere. It can be in the description of the set or in the show notes. No cancellations, no refunds, and no exchanges. I also recommend that you say bid responsibly. I know Will's Easy Money Florida, his is good. He'll let you copy and paste his. It'll say like things like, yeah, don't tell me your kid got your phone and bid, and you want to cancel, you know, better take better care of your phone, things like that. No, none of that. You need to let them know this is a randomized game. And the reason is because what is it? Yeah, my cat has bought 4 things so far. No,
Way to go, Kitty.
um, the reason that happens is because they're trying to get the big items, and when they get the little items, they're like, "Well, shoot, I didn't mean to pay, $20 for a tote bag that's worth 2, right? Um, I want my money back. That I overpaid for that." Well, I always say this is a little bit one-arm bandit, right? You're taking a chance on what the wheel's going to give you.
Kitten Lady Rescue has a very smart cat. She's out there just reaching out, going, "Come on, Mom, I want that."
Yeah. Yeah, no raffles allowed ever. I mean, I can see that. My youngest kitten really loves my iPad screen. But yeah, so we're not going to refund for that. And you need to have that posted somewhere. And I also recommend saying it in the show at least once. Um we cannot discuss the price of items. Not the floor, not the ceiling. I used to say like somebody won and they got the big wreath, and I'm like, dude, I have this price for, $75 in my booth. Great buy for $15. Oh, Maine Coons are very smart. I have
They're
4
awesome.
Maine Coons. Um, I used to say that you could not say that. Um, Now I can just say that's a great value for $15, don't you think? But I cannot say because that's what their bid was. I cannot say anything about um how much this cost,
Retail pricings.
retail or wholesale pricing of these 2 items. Isn't that a pretty paintbrush? Ooh. You can't say things like we have items that range from $5 to $100 in today's show, but you can always screenshot it and look it up. That's right. And so now, if you're wondering why you would run a surprise set, well, what have I just walked through? A new rule for everything. Just surprise sets. We're just talking about surprise sets. I've gotten, since we've started doing them, a lot of people have been asking. In Vintage Wars this weekend, somebody turned them in for a raffle, which you cannot do, but you can make a surprise set like a raffle. So you can apply the same strategies to have the same effect, but do it legally.
Unicorn Dust needs a quick recap. They just got here.
Hi Sammy. Yes, you have to have everything it visible to the buyer behind you. So my camera is actually about 8 to 10 feet that way when I do a surprise set because I have 2 big 6-foot rolling racks that are full. So I have to go all the way back to have it in there. You may In a white elephant, traditionally items are wrapped and they get to pick one. In the rules of whatnot, you may not conceal anything, whether it's a surprise set or otherwise. You may not have anything concealed from the buyer when they're bidding.
It's true.
They must have full knowledge of what they are bidding on. So you can't have like 12 boxes and say, okay, you won first bid, pick a box. That is illegal.
And you can't describe what those 12 items are, and it's a blind purchase or surprise that way.
But you can, as a surprise set, put all the items that are in the 12 boxes in the surprise set, and the randomizer will choose, and then you can have swaps and stuff happen on camera.
Swaps would get crazy.
They will, but you can keep track of them if you know what you're doing. They have to be able to see it. They have to know what it is. They have to have a description. They have to have a description. They have to have status like, is it new with no tags? Is it new? Is it used in good condition? Things like that. They have to be able to see it. They have to be able to know what condition it is. They have to know what they're buying online. Yep, that is illegal. And if they get turned in, if they get turned in, they could get kicked off. Whatnot can choose to just give them a warning or lower their rating, or they can get kicked off completely. And if it's egregious, Whatnot can get shut down because that's gambling.
And it's been rumored that some people may not actually have that item and get them after the fact, if
That's
they get them
true.
at all.
A lot of what Sue just said is true. Some people are doing these games and then drop shipping items, which is also against service terms. That's one of the reasons they have to be behind you. It can't be that I'm running 12 of these, but I only have one. And now that I know that I could sell, now that I know that I've sold 12 of them, I'm picking cat fur off on this one because my cat laid on it. Now that I know that I've sold 12, I'm going to drop ship 11 of them to other people. Yep, that is against Whatnot terms of service. And so again, depending on what it is, it could be so egregious that you will get kicked off for it. I don't know if you want to message me who it is. I'll check into it. Um, but I don't know who you're talking about, but it has to be listed and they have to be able to see it. And if not, they're breaking the rules. Let's see. So again, for the rules to be aware of, no outside randomization or additions. You cannot offer a seller a special incentive. Things like the first 5 bids get a blank. There's cash in one of these. You can't do, and I see this all the time in giveaways. They'll be like, all right, it's a giveaway. Which one do you want? Do you want number 1, 2, or 3? It's a surprise. Pick number 1, 2, or 3. It's a surprise. I used to do this. Um, and then they pick number 2, and then they mail them number 2, and you don't know until you get it what it is. That is against Whatnot rules
Live and learn.
because buyers have to know what they're getting, even if it's a giveaway. Let's see. Where was no cancellations. You can't discuss the price of it. So now you're wondering, um, you can ask shipping questions. That's not what this is about. But if I can answer them, I'm happy to.
Someone here will have an answer.
Somebody here will have an answer. So now you're wondering, well, why would I run a surprise set? So the first thing I'm going to go back to is the story of kind of how I started running surprise sets because I wanted to know how Will Comer sold $115,000 in 1 month after only being in on Whatnot for 4 months. And
That's your answer.
huh?
I like the kid lady's answer. I could certainly tell you what not to do when you're shipping. We'll get gone through that.
And his answer was surprise sets. And I can tell you that when we weren't doing surprise sets, we were running at about $8,000 to $9,000 a month in retail sales on Whatnot. And now we are running closer to 12 to 15,000. So that's a nice jump. And I will say that it's less hard than what we were doing. More shipping, but less hard. And our shows have gotten bigger. Our sale, like the what we actually sell an item for, has gotten bigger. And every week, the average sale price of what we sell goes up a little bit. I will say the quality of what we bring in also goes up because I have told my customers the more they bid, the better the stuff on the shelves are going to get. I want to make sure that they feel like they're getting quality for what they're bidding. No, it's just me and Sue. We are interviewing somebody today to
Help with shipping.
to help with shipping. But no, right now it's just me and Sue. So I spend a lot of my week packing and packing and packing because Sue works her real estate photography business. And day before yesterday, she came home and she was like, "Oh, my client, blah blah blah, just picked up 300 houses that I have to take photographs in the next few weeks of." So yeah, so she won't be helping with packing much.
Packing can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Um. So some of the reasons that you might want to run, in addition to making more money, is raffles are illegal. It can get Whatnot shut down, and you can effectively run something similar in a surprise set. Have your top prize listed on the wheel, along with however many other tickets that you want. In this case, I'm giving the example of 20. You must declare what those items are, show the buyers what they are in front of the camera the entire time. But 21 item surprise set equals the prize plus 20 entries at $5 each. That's $105. So, and use the randomizer at the end feature. Yes, Sue.
Do they have to be big sets? Can you do smaller sets? Are bigger sets better?
You can do whatever you want as far as that goes. You could have a 3 item set if you wanted. You do not have to have crazy big items. Um,
Start small and work your way up.
yeah, that's probably really good advice. The best advice I can give to you is to spend. I know we all love watching whatever category we're in, so most of us are probably in vintage or home decor. And I know that's where we want to spend our time looking, but spend time in the the Disney Loungefly shows, watching how different people do things and figure out what's working for them and what's not working for them. Look at who's got the most number of people in the room and watch their shows and see how much people bid on those items. And then look at the smaller ones and see how many people they've got in their room and how much people bid for those items. See, there's some that'll do what they call holy grail or fail, and that's effectively the raffle idea, which is they're going to have one big beautiful item, and then they're going to have a dozen other items, a dozen other items that they get, and you go into it trying to get the big item, the lounge fly in this case.
This is Sammy for all those who
Yeah,
rarely see Sammy.
this is Dean's brother Sam. I'll usually see Dean. They look very much alike.
But the shows that do this the most are like your Labubus, your lounge flies.
Yeah. So Easy Money Florida is my friend Will. So I'm always gonna recommend that. And he's FL. Easy Money FL. That is Will and Dee Dee. I'm always gonna recommend their show. They run a good show. They actually used to do 400 items, and now like at least 5 days a week. And now he does 175 sets, 175 item sets twice a day, at least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And they have 2 people shipping, 2 people they've hired to ship.
And they constantly do gibbies and raids.
Yeah.
A Gibby raid train.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've effectively taken over their entire house. They do this just like I do my surprise sets for my sunroom because it's the longest room I have in my house. So I have this this is a long rectangle. So this wall behind me, I can get my camera far back. The only room they could do it in their house was their master bedroom. So they moved out of their master bedroom to take over to do their Whatnot shows in that because it was the longest room that they had. It's crazy. We were just Dee Dee and I were discussing their shows and how well they're doing, and they have to source nearly 2,000 items a week.
It's madness.
It's madness. It is dedication.
Easy Money Florida.
Let's see. Another reason to do this price sets is they're fun. They are fun.
They are fun.
They are surprisingly fun.
It's a game and everybody's playing.
Because of the randomization, I'll ask regularly, what is it you wanted to win? What is it, what is it you're bidding on? And sometimes people will tell me and sometimes they won't. And sometimes we add polls to, make things more interesting. Um, would you rather this or would you rather that? Um, but the truth is, everybody's excited to see what somebody gets for their bid. And when we did Loungefly, I will say there was a lady who really wanted a dragon backpack that we had. She wanted that backpack. And man, she had other people helping bid
that were willing to swap.
that were willing to swap prizes if they got it. So
it's all fun until they take your
Bumblebee placemats. Yep. So yeah, Watson Don as a regular. Um, so it's more fun than saying, hey, we're gonna start this off at $3. And so when I used to sell greenery, I'd have, like I said, I had to buy them in 300. So I would literally just hold this and be like, okay, we're going to start off at $3 and go to $5. Great, we're going to run another one. Great, we're going to run another one. Great, we're going to run another one until people were done buying them. Now I put 5 in every show, not every show, but 5 in, a lot of the shows, and it'll sell. It's a fun way to have a sold out show.
That's true.
Everything you put in there is going to be sold.
Yeah, they are. I'm not surprised they're on now.
Like we joke around all the time. I'll open. I wanted to send him a message the other day, a text message. I'd be like, Will, I've been on Whatnot 3 times today. I haven't seen you on yet. Are you okay?
Is everything okay?
Because literally every time I come on Whatnot, he's almost always on.
I need to bring you soup. What's going on?
Yeah, because he not only, and this is something I think would be really fun in our community, and I've been wanting to do it as well, is they do what's called a raid and a givey. So they'll come on for the entire purpose of giving away something. So they're going to be on for 10 minutes. They give away 2 items, and then they take the people who came to them.
And they're usually like Loungefly wallets, so it's a decent
Yeah, it's a decent givey. And they take the people who came to them and raid somebody new.
Yep, they share the love.
So somebody that is struggling in the room. And basically, in order to get in the giving, you got to follow them. So it picks up new followers. And by the way, I said they started in January or February. And when I looked last night, they had 59,000 followers.
59,000?
59,000 followers, which means, and one of the things that he's done that has been interesting is for every 10,000 he gets after he hit 10,000, every 10,000 he does. So when he hits his next when he hits 60,000, he will give away 60 Loungefly bags that night.
Holy cow.
It's not as hard to get them as to keep them. You are correct.
True. That's true.
But having the numbers helps. And getting the followers, right? If you look, he typically has at least 150 in his room, but often during his big shows, it'll be 300 or 400. And he's built that following by doing the givey and a raid. So basically, he goes through 2 givvies. He just chats through them, and then he takes everybody that has come in for the givvies and go raids somebody new to help them build their following. And I just think it's such a great give back to the community because he's doing so well. He wants to encourage others to do well. So sold out shows is another reason to do it. You can move your inventory faster, right? So we still do, not many, but we still add items into our buy it now. Like we'll do a show, and if it doesn't sell and I'd photographed it, then we move those items to the buy it now. I don't run them in another auction. I just put them in the buy it now and then have fresh items. But I'll say that I'm thinking a lot more when I'm buying now. Can that go in a Whatnot? Can that go in our surprise set? And if it doesn't, I don't even usually pick it up. So it's made me more discerning as a buyer. And I only put, again, I know that our average bid right now is right around $15. Well, I'm not going to put anything in here that I don't think somebody is going to feel good if they bought it and it was $15. Um,
We want happy buyers.
right. Everything you sell or give away must be disclosed upfront prior to the transaction. No. Oh, wait, let's change pages. Hang on. Sorry. Where did my other page go? Do you have it?
Cat sleeping on it.
Do you have it, Sammy?
He does.
You do have it, you little brat.
He's always on it.
Can I have my paper? Thank you. Oh, and somebody asked, are giveaways and buyers giveaways okay during the surprise sets? Yes, we run them nonstop during our show. By the way, giveaways help the algorithm to get people to your show. And the other thing a surprise set does is the algorithm favors shows where things are selling fast. So if you're running a surprise set and something is selling every 15 to 30 seconds, the algorithm will favor your show, which helps get more people in your show. So anyway, that's my presentation. And we just got an hour.
Who's got
questions? Anybody got questions for me? I know we've lost some people, but that's okay.
Does it make sense to you? I mean, check out the show Wednesday night. It's a lot of fun. Check out other shows that do this concept, and there's different versions of games that can be done. But it's fun.
It really is up to what you can think of. It is important now. So some of the things I don't quite understand as far as when I look up the rules, like it gives you examples. I will say this whole platform was designed around trading cards and coins and things like that. So some things, it's always a question what the heck it means. Kitten Lady, I'll answer that question in a second. So a lot of the things don't apply. Like I get frustrated when we input something. Oh, I didn't bring that up. When we input something and it doesn't give us an opportunity to put the measurements in, because like it'll bundle 36 items in one box that's supposed to be 12 by 12 by 12. It ain't never going to happen, right? I think if we sell about 400 items a week, I think we should get more than 5 allowances, right? Things like that, they just don't, like, they're just different. So one of the things that I forgot to say earlier is, yes, I did. And Sammy, if you want my notes, you can I have them pinned at the bottom, and then you'll also get a copy of the recording of the whole show. But yes, I did go over how to set it up. When you're putting things in, because all of your stuff might be a different weight, you just have to figure out an average. So for me, I do 8 to 11 ounces is my average per item. And then I know whoever's getting the big prizes, I'm going to pay their overage and shipping. That's just kind of that's part of the costs that I build into mine, knowing what my costs are.
How would you do a show for your vintage if your items are not similar? Or could you?
So I guess it depends on what you mean by not similar. Like we discussed doing a uranium glass one, because right now we have probably 100 pieces of uranium glass. And we thought, oh, that could be fun. Set them all up, put the lights on, and do a surprise set. And, it's randomized. For us with home decor, we are having a show Wednesday night, so maybe come see us. But we set it all up here. I decorate the shelves. We buy greenery wholesale. So I'll have like 5 of these in the show. I'll have 5 of these in the show. I'll have a bunch of vignettes, some really big wreaths, some, as people on here say, bangers, right? For it. And you'll have a chance to win a really nice, beautiful prize or get sort of okay things. They're all high quality greenery, but things that you could maybe get at like a retail store.
I would say that for vintage, you would want to stick with like a theme. So if you have a collection of silver plated items,
Mhm.
whether they're bowls, vases, platters, whatnot, you would have a silver show. You do doorknobs, you can have the various types of doorknobs.
So we've discussed having a Rusty Krusty show that all of the items will be Rusty Krusty, right?
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of it. You're going to know it's just something that's rusty and crusty, but not necessarily something you would buy, or it is something you absolutely want.
Right. So maybe it's a cottage core show and everything in it is of themed colors of cottage core, right? Yeah. So the beauty of it for us is if we looked at a show, what we average for profit is better with a surprise set. And how many items we sell is like we wouldn't necessarily sell 150 items on a night we were just running vintage. We might run 150
Yeah,
items,
the
but
vintage
we weren't going to
birthday
sell.
sets. That's a great idea.
So the break spot is where the wheel spins.
A break spot?
Yeah.
What's that mean? What's a break spot?
It's in the, as far as I'm aware, the break spot is where the wheel spins. That's the break. Um, and how long it is between the item when it's won and when the wheel rolls. I believe that is.
Okay.
Um,
So it goes very fast. Basically,
yeah, you can determine how fast it's going to go.
basically when you have the winning bid comes up, the wheel will spin and tell them what they won. We'll grab the what they won, walk it up to the camera and show them what it is, and then we start the next set. Next bid.
I am not sure then Country Keepsakes. I'll have to look. I'll go watch one Will show and see if I can figure it out from him. Most of what I've learned has come from watching the Loungefly shows.
Now we have had on occasions where the winning bid is someone whose payment didn't go
Mm,
through, and the wheel won't spin for that.
right. So we've all had in our auctions. If you've had an auction, you've probably had somebody whose payment didn't go through because they have to call their credit card company because they're
Microtransactions.
all the microtransactions because they're getting suspicious about a bunch of $3 and $5 and $8 transactions because those are usually fraudulent. So they have to call and let their bank know, and it clears. In a surprise set, it won't run the wheel.
So we have no idea.
So we won't know until we go to pack what they want.
Yeah.
And basically, the way we find out, because it still doesn't label it, it'll just say win number 91 or whatever. And I'll have an item left over on the shelf.
It's very bizarre. That part of it, anyway.
Yeah. So I won't know until literally pretty much everything is gone and there's an item left on my shelf. That's what they want. Now they give it to the next. Yeah, it'll go
Oh, well, that's interesting to know. That okay. That could make sense, but it doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us what was won.
yeah, we don't have any way of doing that.
We won't know until we're packing that the last item that didn't get a name will all of a sudden get put with somebody.
Yeah. They will win something. We just won't know until the end. So that's the hard part.
And I'm sure that's something they'll fix in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, that's the bugaboo.
Sammy, you are sure cozy. So any other questions? I am, yeah, if y'all want to reach out to me individually, I don't necessarily respond quickly. I have a lot going on, often packing,
Usually packed.
usually packing. Today we've got a booth at Linen and Rust. We're actually going to
I
go.
have to go.
Sue has to go. Um, where are you going?
Boys.
Boys. She has to go pick up the boys for school. So after she gets back with the boys, or after taking the boys home, then she picks up my grandsons after school and takes them home. And I have an interview this afternoon for somebody to pack for us. Y'all, wish me luck on this. I really need my life back from packing. It's hard to complain about packing because you're successful and that is just part of the success. But if I'm being honest, I don't enjoy packing. So I'd much rather have another show than pack. You know, somebody else can have that revenue from packing. I'm good with that. I'm good to have a little less revenue and not spend 10 hours of my life packing for every show, right? Any other questions that y'all have? I hope it's been helpful. I hope I answered your questions. Um, I think that this has been I don't want to say life changing because that's a bit much, but in a lot of ways it has. I had started feeling frustrated with what we were getting for our vintage finds. Like maybe I would just go back to selling on Etsy and not do whatnot. Like literally, I was thinking about leaving whatnot because we weren't making what I thought we should be making. The profit margins weren't there. Um, Not when you compare it, not when you add in shipping time and blah blah. Um, and now it's fun again for me because when I had originally come on Whatnot, I just thought how fun it was to be on here and selling stuff. And I'd gotten where like I just didn't want to go to estate sales anymore. I didn't want to go shopping for things. And it was like anything cool I found, I'm like, well, we'll never sell it for twice that. You know, it's only going to sell for like $5. Um, and I feel like that's really changed for us. Now, if I know it's a quality item, I can put it in this show, or I can put it in the buy it now. And I will say, we usually have at least 100 items in our buy it now and sell quite a few during our live shows as well. So, our surprise shows. All right, guys. So, if there are no other questions, then I think that we're going to go raid somebody. And Sammy, if you want to reach out to me to ask me questions, by all means. All right, let's go see who we can raid. You know what? We're going to go raid Easy Money because this is what we've been talking about. So let's go raid Easy Money.